I'm so excited to introduce Dr. David Nicholson, who is the author of Philosophy of Education in Action, an Inquiry-Based Approach. And David, this is your second edition, so
Yes,
this is pretty exciting um,
yes.
to have an opportunity to talk about it. So let's get started. How did you write this book, or why did you write this book?
Yeah, the book emerged directly from the classroom experiences. When I first started teaching this course, I had a textbook that was very much each chapter was a separate philosophy with a set of philosophers and terms, and we would sort of move through the textbook. But that's not how I was teaching the course after I was teaching it for a couple of years, and I started relying much more on my own materials. We started to go into classrooms, local schools, and many of these schools represented a philosophy that was in the title of their school: Waldorf education, Montessori education. Reggio Emilia is an approach. Sudbury is an approach. We were able to compare and contrast different philosophical points of view in schools as observers. So that flipped the course. And I tried two different textbooks, and then I stopped using a textbook because we weren't really trying to read about philosophies and philosophers and then go observe. I actually wanted an inquiry where you would observe first, have a lot of questions, and then what philosophy might support, what different approaches, what different points of view. And those big names, John Dewey, they were coming second. The observations were coming first, and then sort of the support for why are people teaching this way or using these practices came second. So then I reorganized the course into an inquiry-based course, which meant I needed to eventually write my own book because I was using my own materials. Every chapter in the book has a direct observation, a vignette that I've observed in a school. So that's how we were opening each class. So that's how the book opens each chapter.
David, something that really intrigued me about this book is the wonder model of inquiry. Can you tell us a little bit more about this inquiry model that you call the wonder model?
The W in wonder is wonder. It's asking a wonder question, a what if question. What if the purpose of education were, and then you think of an idea, what if it were problem solving? O is observe. Actually observe if you can in a classroom or school, but the book has many vignettes and direct observations described. It also has many examples from schools that are out there right now, currently operating, that follow these philosophies. So that's the observe part. N is for inquiry. We'll play there. It's an investigation part of the book. What philosophies, philosophers, and some specific methods would support that purpose of education that you're asking about in the wonder question? D is design. How would I design a school or a learning space to fulfill that purpose of education? E is to evaluate it using criteria. We call it the 3 C's. Then R is reflect. Reflect not only back on the process we just went through, but to compare with experiences and practices of your own, so you can start to see where it resonates with you, where you find things that you agree with, and where you have more questions, which leads to further inquiry.
So, who is the target audience for your book?
This book emerged directly from my courses. So I teach teacher candidates interviewing for their first position as a professional teacher. However, philosophy of education as a course is taught in teacher education and graduate programs. Graduate programs are often practicing teachers who have taught for a while and are now returning to get more education. They have a perspective about the classroom and about the experiences and practices that they've learned from their time in the classroom directly. I've heard from administrators and directors of schools who are very interested in this book because it talks about how a school is organized and how you can purposefully organize your school to have it align with a purpose that you and your faculty and staff, your parents, stakeholders agree on. And professional learning in general to look at your own practices, to examine and critique your own practices. This gives a whole series of lenses, different ways to look at your practice, compare it to others. But why are you selecting the methods you're selecting? Was that a conscious decision? Is it something you want to continue to do? Are you using things out of habit? Are those habits still addressing the needs and the reasons you started off when you first started teaching that way?
So that just makes me think of this amazing opportunity that a school who, maybe it's a school beginning. Maybe they're a brand new school and they're collecting all of their ideas from the faculty and staff who are designing the school, or maybe they need a jump start or a revitalization. So they could use, could they use this book to help guide them in the process of thinking about what are we doing, what do we want, what kinds of practices, structures, things, methods will align to the belief system that we have about the school? Could you see it being used that way?
Yes, definitely. We use concrete examples in my class, but also there are concrete examples that I've discovered where it's time to maybe build a new school or reorganize a school, design a school, or even within a school that's already existing, we want to do some things at a grade level or department-wide, subject-wise. This book gives you opportunity to do a lot of comparing and contrasting, a lot of sort of locating what you're already doing. And by locating, I mean, I think I'm kind of between two philosophies, but I feel more strongly about the other one. I've shown examples in class of videos that talk directly about this is a school we had an opportunity to design from scratch. So we reorganized the spaces, furniture, lighting, windows. Those are philosophical decisions, not just logistic decisions. Nooks near a window for reading independently, places for small groups to meet, places to do art other than the art room, places to do library other than the library. You can have your school's actual spaces tell me a lot about your philosophy as soon as we walk in. So there's a lot of opportunity to take what is in this book and think about constructing and to construct a school of your own design. And that opportunity does arise in a lot of ways, either in small ways or let's design the school. But even within a program, let's revise or refine or redesign a program that already exists. This book has resources that try to touch upon all the approaches that might be available out there that other people have put into practice.